What's going on, everyone? It's Adam and Craig with Grandstand Golf. This is our PGA DFS sleeper show for the 2021 Players Championship. Before we get to that, Craig, we like to take a look back of our previous week. Arnold Palmer Invitational sleepers. Man, we nailed it. We crushed it. 6-6 through the cut. Average DraftKings salary, like we went low. Average is just over 7,000. 4 top 20s, including a 7th and a T8.
Yep, feeling good about it. Nothing to say. It's hard to keep that kind of streak going. I feel the pressure,
I know there's pressure. We love digging up sleepers, digging up this information. So I think this is my favorite show. I said that on a couple of our live show. But if you had a good sleepers win, I've heard about a couple of parlays, some DFS. Let us know in the comments below. Also, if you're first time watching, our sleepers are 7,500 and below.
On DraftKings.
On DraftKings.
And then, they vary on FanDuel because the prices vary obviously between the sites, but we look at 75 and below on DraftKings. Let us know your favorite in that price range.
Let's hear it. Plant that flag. Let's hear it. And of course, if you watch our pick show, our live show is now Tuesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. That's where we talk through the entire field using our PGA DFS model. So make sure to join us then Tuesday, noon night, Tuesday, 9:30 Eastern.
Yeah, and as well, we'll be doing our normal show on Wednesday, but we just want to make sure that people have more time to look at the full field, and we'll be chatting through things again on Wednesday. That said, do you want to jump into it?
Let's do it.
Okay. Oh, no.
It's Sergio. Come on. Of course it's Sergio. When I saw Sergio's pricing was 7,500 on DraftKings, I'm like, he is my first sleeper without a doubt. I'm going back to Sergio. I know I'm getting flack for it. He's 7,500 on DraftKings. He's 34th there. On FanDuel, 9,300. He's 32nd there. Last time I picked Sergio was the WGC Workday, Craig. He placed 30th. He was priced 30th. He finished 32nd, but he was 15th in birdies. That is DFS scoring. That's DraftKings scoring. That's what we talk about. It's not just that squeaking by into those top finishes. It's getting those DraftKings points, those DFS points. And like, why is he doing that? It's a couple of the, like, his form and the course. So his ranks the past 3 months are absolutely insane. He's third strokes gained tee to green at plus 202, and he's 145th strokes gained putting at minus 0.84. Like, yeah, that there's just a level of floor with that tee to green game, the approach game, that gives him those DraftKings points. But okay, what has he done at TPC Sawgrass? What has he done at the Players? He's had 20 tournaments here. He's got a win, obviously, 2 seconds, 6 top 10s, over 65 rounds. This is incredible. 65 rounds. His strokes in total per round is 1.99. These are small greens. You need to be good on approach. Sergio has done that through his entire career. He hasn't missed a cut here in 16 tournaments. I know I feel like I'm jinxing myself and putting that like bad into like it's bad energy saying that, but it's 16 years he hasn't missed a cut here. It's form. He's a winner. He's got a win in the past 6 months, I think, or wherever the Sanderson was. It's a risk worth taking. It's a GBP risk. I'm going to go all over it for sure.
Yeah, I was just pulled up my notes from our preview video because we had mentioned him on who had good course histories here, and you pretty much hit all the points. The only thing that I'll add to that is one of those second places was a playoff loss, he was right there, a couple strokes away on those playoff holes. I think the one thing to highlight that is not clear if you don't sort of understand how the high tee to green low putters work, it's super volatile. Like you can get very, very good weeks out of it. And then it also, like if you want a safe cut maker, he's probably not your guy. But if you want someone with upside, then he's someone to look at for sure.
100%. If his putting is on, like watch out. You would not be surprised if he's around Sunday late on the leaderboard,
Yeah, and that's what happens with those guys.
Craig, you mentioned our preview video. If you're looking for more information on the course or anything like that, watch our preview video on our channel. But let's hear your sleeper.
Okay, I'm starting off right at the top of the range too. I've got Abraham Ancer, 7,500 on DraftKings, 34th, 9,400 on FanDuel. He's 30th there, so like me, FanDuel likes him a little bit more maybe. So looking at recent form, his last 7 tournaments, he's got 5 cuts made, 5 top 20s, tied for 5th at Amex, which, there's the similarities there as we've spoken about. Looking at his stats, so similar to Daniel Berger in our last video, I went back to the full 2019-2020 season all the way through this season because I think that his long-term form is really what's attractive to me. And the thing I really want to highlight here, so strokes gained total, he's just over 3/4 of strokes, 0.78. He's 28th in the field in terms of strokes gained total in that time. And then you look at individually, like off the tee, 39th, approach 43rd, putting 48th. He's one of these guys that I think the whole is more than the sum of the parts. Like because he's good at all of these things, he's gaining over a quarter stroke in all of those areas. I think it makes it so that when it's almost a safer play than someone who's very unbalanced. And then the other thing, I think his skill set really suits the course. So if you look at off the tee, TPC Sawgrass is not a place where you can gain a ton off the tee with distance. But you can gain it with accuracy. Now, Abe Ancer, he's first in driving accuracy this year. So when you see guys who are positive, who are gaining strokes off the tee, it's usually guys who are long and might not be, might be a little bit erratic with their accuracy. But he's one of the ones who does it with accuracy, and he's very accurate for his length. So that's exactly the kind of guy I want to play this week. And then last thing, course history. He's only had one previous start here. He was 12th in that start. So, it checks out that someone who you would think based on his skill set would be good at the course was good at the course in his one full tournament here.
Yeah, so as you said, the Amex, obviously Pete Dye design, so that's similar with the TPC Sawgrass. I agree with Ancer. We talked about it on our pick show. All our picks are under 10K. If you're starting under 10K, you only have to go as low as some of these guys, 7,500. And having an Abe Ancer as your 5th and 6th player in I feel like is a great strategy this week.
Yeah, I had him pulled up on my computer when my wife was in here earlier, and I said, "What do you think? Do you think he's the Ancer this week?" And she said, somehow she still loves me.
Moving on.
Okay, your next one.
Kevin Na, a couple veterans for me back to back with my first two sleepers. Kevin Na, 7,300 on DraftKings, 42nd on FanDuel, 9,039th. So a little bit better on DraftKings. Recent form, obviously has that win as a Sony Open in Hawaii, but he has gained strokes in 16 of his last 22 rounds. I feel like a good consistency there with those strokes gained. TPC Sawgrass is kind of interesting. It's a little bit feast or famine. He's gone 7 of 12 made cuts, but he has 3 top 7s. And his stroke gain, again, like comparing the stroke gain for all his rounds, 38 rounds here, it's pretty good, right about 1 per round. Looking into so 7 of 12 missed cuts, that was a little bit worrying. So I had to look at each one. So 2019 was an MDF. They made the cut, but then they cut kind of the last little group there. 2016, missed on the number. 2011, missed on the number. 2010, missed on the number. So he's right there.
We're starting to talk a ways back when we're looking back that far.
Yeah, we're talking a ways back when we talk about that. So the 7 of 12 doesn't look good, but like he's almost like 10 for 12 here with his recent starts. He's been playing the course pretty good. It's interesting his form, his stroke gains. So he ranks 49th in the field over the past 3 months, around where his pricing is. But he's 91st in stroke gain putting. It's his worst putting performance since 2004, like for the year. He ranks 91st.
That's weird.
It's kind of weird. It's easy. I feel like it's kind of easier to correct that. We know putting can be quite volatile. So maybe he's just hitting I think that says something about his form as well. He's hitting the ball abnormally well, and maybe his putter will come around now that we're off the West Coast, now that we're off the desert. Maybe he'll play, maybe the putting will come around.
Yeah.
But finally, TPC Sawgrass, I think he likes it. He says, I love coming here. It's a great golf course for me. It fits me well. I love when people have that good energy, good vibes, lots of confidence coming into the course. I think coming off a win this year with the confidence of a course at 7,300 for Kevin Na, that's enough for me right there.
Yep, I like it. He is an upside guy. Like I think because of how streaky good he can be at times, he's always an upside guy to me. I do think his history here speaks to that. It's just again similar to Sergio. You're liking these guys with upside. I would say maybe he almost feels, because of how good and how consistent his recent form has been, he almost feels a little bit safer than Sergio. But maybe not quite, because he's not the elite ball striker. Maybe not quite the upside unless he starts to pour in 20, 30 footers like he can.
Yeah, walking them in.
Yeah.
I completely agree. A little bit safer. Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. Okay. My next one, I am going with our Canadian boy, Corey Connors, 7,400. He's 38th on DraftKings. FanDuel, again, likes him a little bit more, just like me. 9,200. He's 34th there. So Corey Connors, we bring him up, I think, fairly often. He's an elite ball striker, and he's great tee to green. We spoke about him last week. He wasn't our pick, but when we were doing our full field breakdown, we were kind of saying he's one of these guys similar to a Cameron Davis, similar to a Sam Burns, who they're such good ball strikers. They're so good at such an important part of the game that when they're doing the things they don't do well, they have chances to win. And that's what we saw from him this past week at the Arnold Palmer.
So that's it. That's a great plug to not miss our live show, because we talk about the entire field, like you said, and we are both high on Connors. But
we have hard times cutting down to the people we fit into these shows, so that's where we get to go on at length about everyone.
But Craig, tell me why we're not chasing the good finish here.
So I mean, to me, I think if you don't know the Corey Connors story, I tried to illustrate it here with numbers. So if you look at strokes gained by year, off the tee, approach, and putting, you can look at, he's been gaining over a half stroke off the tee, over a half stroke on approach the last 3 years.
Yeah.
He's been the first, 2019, 2020, he's lost over a half stroke putting. This year so far, he's been gaining, which, I mean, if you get Corey Connors neutral as a putter, he's gonna be huge value at this price. He's gonna win tournaments. He's just such a good ball striker that if he doesn't have this crippling putter, he can just continue to move up in the PGA tiers. But to me, the recent form, it's not just this past week. It's his last 11 starts. He's made the cut in 10 of those. He has been top 10 in 4 of those, including his third place this past week. But he's been top 25 in 8 of those. So 8 is the last 11. I mean, yes, you want him to be more than just a top 25 if you're going to win the GPP with him. But he has that upside, and he has such a safe floor right now. So to me, the biggest concern I have with him is ownership, because of how high how much he flashed this past week. So that's the only concern I have. If you're going to play him with a bunch of other chalky plays, then make sure you get some low owned guys.
You got to be weird somewhere.
Yeah, you got to get weird somewhere. But if you think you're differentiating yourself somewhere, then I think Corey Connors is a great play at 74.
Yeah, excellent ball striker too, as you said. But the off the tee stats, his accuracy is really good.
Yeah,
his accuracy with the driver is really strong. I think we like that because it's a little bit of safety around this course, around TPC Sawgrass. We're not having that lost ball. Kind of how I felt with Sung Jae Im, one of my picks. If they're finding fairways and they're finding greens, they can kind of at least get their way through par and try to collect a couple of birdies in the way.
Yeah, and I think in addition to that, it's that we see a lot of guys that really, typically have very good off the tee stats, but at courses that really emphasize power and reward power. And so when we're looking at a guy who has those really good stats but does it in a different way, it's perfect for this kind of course. And so a single start here, he was 41st in that one start. So not a ton of course history. It's a made cut. We'd like to see something higher, but
But at Bay Hill, he had 2 missed cuts coming in and then finished third.
I mean, his form's the best probably we've seen in his career.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, last one here, Adam.
I can't just give you guys everything in the 7s. I got to dip into the 6Ks. It's not going to be necessarily a strategy that I do a lot this week. I think 7 and up, I'll kind of have the majority, or obviously, I won't have many plays in the 6Ks, but this is one play I like. Obviously, when you're in the 6Ks, they don't check all the boxes, but this is why I like Matthew NeSmith, my third pick, 6,700 on DraftKings, 78 there. FanDuel, 7,800, 86. So good discount on FanDuel there. He missed the cut, and I love that for ownership reasons. So he burned a couple people.
I didn't love it because he burned me.
He was a chalky sleeper, though, at Bay Hill, at Arnold Palmer. He was a little bit chalky. But over his last 15 rounds, he has gained, and this is why he was chalky, he gained 0.9 strokes in total in 12 of his last 15. I think that actually does include one round.
Yeah, he had a good round and then just a really bad second round.
Yeah. So his ranks compared to his pricing is crazy. 33rd strokes in total. This is for the entire year at 0.91. 5th strokes in approach, 0.96. 36 in driving accuracy, 66%. That's on the PGA Tour, and 29th in our Grandstand Golf DFS model. We have price adjusted model and we have our DFS model. That's just the DFS model. He checks out really good for kind of the course fit here. So that's where you can't get everything in the 6K. He doesn't have the history here. This is his first time playing the course. Yes, that limits his upside. He's not going to, there's almost no chance he goes out and wins. But that doesn't mean he can't go out there and get a top 20. And when you're going in the 6Ks, that's all you need. Like that's what you're looking for. His ball striking is good enough that he can get a top 20 for you. I think he's a GBP, high risk, high reward type play.
Yeah, and if you don't know much about him, he's a second-year player. We saw his ball striking throughout the year last year. We still really don't know. We don't know how good he is. We don't know. Like he's a bit of an unknown in terms of what the ceiling is. So, this similar to Connor's. I think this is the best golf these past few months is the best golf we've seen from him thus far in his pro career. So, I think there's a long-term arrow pointing up too. So I think similar to Connor's, ownership might be the problem, but maybe that miscut last week helps cool the ownership down a bit on him because he was one of the highest owned sleepers last week.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, my last one. I did not dip into the 6Ks. I, flirted right on the border there.
You flirted with it.
This is a repeat for me from last week. Sometimes when it works, you got to go back to it. Chris Kirk, 7,000, 58th on DraftKings, 8,800, 46th on FanDuel. Looking at... So I guess similar to all my other picks, FanDuel likes him a bit more than DraftKings. Looking at what he's done so far this season, this is just a pure value play on all fronts, essentially. So far, 2020-2021 season, he's gained over a stroke total per round. He's 26th in the field there. Tee to green, he's gained almost a full stroke. He's 24th in this field, tee to green. As I had mentioned last week, he's positive in all strokes gained categories. That's something I like to see. The one that he is his least gaining category is off the tee, which we've talked about how there's not the usual advantage you see here, and he's been doing good on courses that you've actually had to be good off the tee at just because he's been playing so well of recent. You look at his last 9 tournament starts, he's made the cut in 8 of them. You look at his last 5 tournament starts, he's been tied for 16th or better in 4 of them. So he's getting it done, and it's one of these things where I'm gonna ride the wave until it crashes, and then I'm gonna let it crash, and then I'll move on, But totally. I'm not gonna. It's sort of like in football. A lot of coaches, they'll have a running play that works successfully, and then they'll be like, "Oh, we got one there. Let's go away from it." Bill Belichick would just keep running that same play until you stop it. So that's kind of how I'm feeling with Chris Kirk right now. Last thing, he's a value and a course fit play. He's 17th in our Grandstand Golf model, which. For someone who's priced 58th, that's number 3 in terms of cost-adjusted value. Behind, I don't know if you can guess them. One of them is Cameron Percy, who's priced at 6,000 and is huge. There's a huge cost adjusted in there. Will Zalatoris, who, let's be serious, I'll talk about him on our live show, and that guy's been top of our model every week. He's the Leonardo DiCaprio of models. If you don't get that, it's because models love Leonardo DiCaprio. I love back to Chris Kirk. I think he's a great play. I think chalkiness is gonna be the problem.
But we're recording this Monday morning. I mean, we don't know how the whole week's going to shake out. That's why tune into our live show Tuesday, tune into our live show Wednesday night. Interestingly, I think, so Chris Bezadenhout, I think is 7,100 on DraftKings. This might be a good pivot, leave some money on the table, get Chris Kirk, who's in probably just as good form as Bez, and might be a little 10% less owned. Who knows?
Yeah, but I also feel like Bez isn't the worst. Isn't the worst. I was gonna say he's someone you picked for a one and done last week, and he made good money for you there.
Some cash. Yeah,
and that's the kind of thing we'll get into more. Who are good pivots? Who are these guys good pivots off of? Just a little bit more the game theory of it. Tuesday night, we'll get into that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our channel if you have not yet already. It does mean a lot. Hit that thumbs up. Comment below how you've been doing with our sleepers and your favorite sleeper under 7,500 on DraftKings for this tournament. Good luck this week. Join us for our live videos. We'll see you there.
Yeah, good luck, guys. We'll see you next time.